Welcome back, kids. Today's topic that we are going to discuss is heterotrophic nutrition. Now, in previous classes, we have discussed about the types of nutrition. So, all of you remember, you guys have also given one test regarding this thing. All of you do remember that nutrition can be divided under two categories, that is autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. We know that autotrophic nutrition is a type of nutrition in which organisms are capable of producing their own food by the process of photosynthesis. We have studied the entire process of photosynthesis in details. Now, I hope that most of you remember that thing. If you don't, go back to those videos and just please go through all of the things again. This chapter, these topics are very important and also very lengthy. You need to memorize, you need to revise those things again and again. Now see, so let's come back to the to today's topic, that is heterotrophic nutrition. Now this is the second type of nutrition that we are going to study. Now heterotrophic nutrition, what is heterotrophic nutrition? Most of you know this thing. All of you actually know this thing. Heterotrophic nutrition is the type of nutrition in which the organism do not produce its own food. Basically, they depend upon other organisms. Heterotrophic nutrition can also be further divided into three categories. Let's see. The types of heterotrophic nutrition that we are going to study are holozoic nutrition. Now, what is holozoic nutrition? Holozoic nutrition is when an organism takes an entire block of solid food and digestion happens inside the body cavity. Now after that we have saprophytic nutrition. Saprophytic nutrition is another type of heterotrophic nutrition. In this case, the organism actually depends upon dead and decaying organic matter. Now the third type of nutrition is parasitic nutrition. What is parasitic nutrition? All of you know this thing. Parasitic nutrition basically means an organism that is living on some other organism and taking the already digested nutrients from that organism's body. Okay, now let's write the definitions of these three things. For holozoic nutrition, you can write it in your copy or take a screenshot after I'm done with this thing. Now, holozoic nutrition, I have already said what holozoic nutrition means. That is when an organism takes a solid piece of food and the digestion takes place inside the body cavity of that organism. Like us, what you do when you eat something, what you do? You take a solid piece of food, you put it in your mouth, you chew that one, the food goes into your stomach and your entire digestive tract. The digestion happens inside your body, right? And after that in your small intestine, when the digestion is complete, all the necessary nutrients are being absorbed by the body. And after that, these necessary nutrients are being transported to each and every living cell that your body has. And these nutrients are being utilized for various functions that your body needs. Okay, this is the holozoic nutrition. Now, saprophytic nutrition, it is a little bit different. In case of saprophytic nutrition, you can see the definition here. Now, in case of saprophytic nutrition, what is happening? The entire organism lives on like a mushroom or a bread mold. Yeah, you have seen some mushrooms and this kind of a fungus actually grow on dead organic matter, maybe on wet wood or your stale food, maybe in some cases some old shoes also. You can see some bread molds or some mushrooms are growing in those areas, in damp areas, right? Now what they do, they actually release a certain amount of digestive juice on the organic substance, the dead organic substance on which they are growing. And this digestive juice, what it does is it digests the nutrients present in that region. After that, with the help of some structures like roots that they have, they absorb this entire nutrient in their body. So in this case, in saprophytic nutrition, the digestion is happening outside the body and they are absorbing the nutrients from that region. So that was saprophytic nutrition. In parasitic nutrition, what happens? Parasites, they actually absorb the already digested prepared nutrients from a host body. Now you can see that in saprophytic nutrition the organisms were dependent upon dead organic matter, right? In parasitic nutrition, what is happening? The organism itself is living on a living organism, an entire living organism. Now that living organism is already digesting or preparing, maybe in cases of plants they are preparing their own food. In case of animals and other heterotrophic organisms, they are gathering their food or digesting that food, right? They have to digest that food to get their essential nutrients. Now when they are done with this digestion, they will absorb, they will send the entire nutrient, the system of the nutrient into their body, to all of the requiring cells, right? All of the tissues, all of the organ systems, and everywhere in their body, right? So the parasitic organisms like a mosquito, like a tapeworm, like hookworms that some of the people have in their stomach, also in their digestive tracts, what they do is they absorb this digested nutrient and use this thing in their body. They are not wasting their time gathering the food, digesting it in their body or outside their body. They are not doing that thing. They just wait there. They just wait there till the person is done digesting the food, till the organism, their host, actually the host organism is done digesting their food. They just absorb the entire nutrient in their body and utilize the nutrient. They are like a thief, you can say. They are just stealing the nutrient from the host body. And of course, in most of the cases, these parasites are very harmful for the host organism. Now, these are the definitions that of these three categories of heterotrophic nutrition. Now you can take a screenshot of this thing. So these were the types of heterotrophic nutrition. Now heterotrophic nutrition, let us repeat the things again. Heterotrophic nutrition are of three types. Those are holozoic nutrition, saprophytic nutrition, and parasitic nutrition. These are the three types of heterotrophic nutrition. Now let us study all of these three things in details. Okay, the first one is saprophytic nutrition. Right now, a little while ago, I discussed what saprophytic nutrition means, how this saprophytic nutrition happens, and what are the organisms that are responsible, that actually goes through with this entire process of saprophytic nutrition. So what is saprophytic nutrition? Saprophytic nutrition is the type of nutrition in which an organism actually gathers their food, gathers their important nutrients, the required nutrients from a dead organic matter, from some dead organic matter. Now the most common example of saprophytes. Now what are saprophytes? Saprophytes are the organisms that performs this saprophytic nutrition. The most common example of this saprophytes are this thing. See, a mushroom. Now all of you are familiar with this. Is one of the best example of saprophyte that you can see. See, in all of these cases that you can see in your screen, all of these saprophytic organisms, these are the mushrooms. I'm pausing this video once. See, all of these saprophytic organisms are actually growing on dead plant parts. In this case, in this video, this mushrooms are, this funguses are growing on dead plant parts. This plant part is an organic matter. Now, how would they gather the nutrient from this thing? This mushroom that you can see on the screen, this mushroom will release a certain amount of enzyme in this organic matter, this organic plant part. Now what will that enzyme do? That enzyme will decompose, that enzyme will actually digest the organic substance that the plant branch is made up of. This will release all the nutrients from that branch, from that organic region which was subjected to that enzyme that was released from this mushroom, right? Now that will break down all of the nutrients. This enzyme will break down all of the nutrients that is present in that organic substance. This nutrients will then absorbed by this mushroom. This mushroom will absorb all of these nutrients. Let me elaborate this thing. Let me take an example of a bread mold. Now, in earlier classes, in class 7 also, you have seen the structure of a bread mold. These things would have some root-like structures. These root-like structures are present in them that will spread all over this organic material. This is the organic material. I don't have much space here, so I'm just writing OM. You will understand this thing. This is the organic material on which this bread mold, this saprophytic organisms are growing. These are the saprophytic organisms. Okay. Now what will happen? Their body. This is the body region. This thing will release a certain amount of enzyme here in the organic substance on which they are growing. So what this enzyme, the purple color is actually representing the enzyme here. Okay, this enzyme then will break down this organic matter into its constituent elements or absorbable nutrients. After this digestion happens, what will happen? This organic matter by which this entire block on which these saprophytic organisms are growing, this organic matter will decompose, or you can also say will get digested. This organic matter will be broken down into the constituent nutrients. These nutrients now will be absorbed by this saprophytic organisms. I'm using this green color to represent the digested simpler nutrients. Okay, now these nutrients will be absorbed by this saprophytic organisms. This is the process of saprophytic nutrition. Now, in simpler words, saprophytes are the living organisms that live and feed on dead and decaying organisms. Now you already know how this process happens. I hope I could make this thing much easier for you to understand, much easier for you to memorize also. Okay, even if you have any kind of problem, if you did not understand the parts that I have explained, feel free to ask me. Now, some of the best known examples of saprophytes are the funguses and bacteria, right? So you also need to, I have given it in my note that I have uploaded in GC last day, but still the process that the saprophytic nutrition follows, the process of saprophytic nutrition, I have already written it here also. So you can see here, the saprophytes undergo extracellular digestion to digest the dead and decaying matter. They secrete digestive substances into the surrounding environment and break down the organic matter into simpler substance. The nutrients thus produced are absorbed directly through the cell membrane of the organism. Now, whatever I drew a while ago in that screen, it is just explaining that part. Here, what is happening is, let me explain again. If some of you did not understand what I did that time. Now, actually, in most of the cases, you can observe this saprophytic organisms are actually living in damp and decaying regions, right? Because these are the most favorable conditions for them. These are the regions where you can find the decaying organic materials. Now, what is happening here? These organisms will release some of the enzymes into the ground. They will release some of the enzymes that they are producing in their body into the ground. These enzymes will decay this entire region. These enzymes will go on and decay this entire region the organic materials, all of the organic materials that are present in this region, and the break those organic materials into simpler organic substances, simpler nutrients. Those nutrients would be absorbed by these organisms then, and after that these organisms will utilize this absorbed nutrients in the way they need in their body. So this was saprophytic nutrition. The next topic is parasitic nutrition. Now this is another type of heterotrophic nutrition that we were studying. In this parasitic type of nutrition, we would be needing two living organisms are involved. Remember that. One would be the host. One organism is known as the host organism. Another is the parasite. Okay, I'm just denoting the parasite with a P here. Now the host organism will gather its food, or will, if the host organism is a plant, is a autotrophic organism, it will make its own food, it will digest the food, it will utilize the food in its own body. Now when the digestion is happening in this host organism's body, after the digestion has been done, the food materials would be broken down into simpler forms, right? The food materials would be broken down into simpler forms. This food materials would be circulated throughout the host organism's body, right? It will be sent to each and every single cell that is there, each and every living cells that is there in this host organism's body, right? So while this thing is happening, this is a normal process in any kind of a nutrition, right? The food materials will be broken down into simpler nutrients. These nutrients would be absorbed into the entire body system and would be utilized by the body cells and organs to perform various activities, right? Now while this thing is happening, the parasitic organism will come to this host organism, or maybe this parasitic organism is already living on top of this host organism, or inside, in some cases even inside the host organism. So what will they do? This parasitic organism will not gather its food, will not do anything. They will just sit there, wait for the host organism to digest the entire food material. Now this simpler digested simple nutrients, these parasitic organisms will absorb these simple nutrients and will utilize in their body. These parasites do not digest their food properly. They don't need to. Their host do the same thing for them. Okay, in most of the cases, as I said earlier also, in most of the cases these parasites are very harmful for the host organism. Now let's continue with the slide now. This is the definition or a proper explanation of a parasitic nutrition. Parasitic nutrition is a mode of heterotrophic nutrition where an organism lives on the body surface or inside the body of another type of organism and derive its nutrition from the body of the host. This is a parasitic nutrition. Now I guess you have understood that, you have understand the concept of host, right? Also what the parasites are, right? Parasites are the organisms that absorb the nutrient from another organism. The organism from which these parasites absorb the nutrient is known as the host organism, and the organism that performs this parasitic nutrition is the parasite. Understood? Now this symbiotic interaction is often described as harmful to the host. I already said that part. That this kind of a relation, this kind of a symbiotic relation between the parasite and the host is most of the time actually is very much harmful for the host organism. If a parasite is living in your body, now see, all of the interactions, all of the symbiotic interactions are not that much harmful. You can consider that your own body is home to millions and billions of bacteria and other microorganisms. There are protozoas and bacteria living on your own body. Now that does not mean that you are untidy or you do not clean yourself properly. That is not the thing. It is there, it should be there. This is the normal process of life. This is how nature works. Your entire digestive tract is filled up with bacteria and protozoas. Most are the bacteria. These are good bacteria. This is not that if you are if you have bacteria in your body, that does not mean that you are infected by them. Actually, these are good bacteria. They actually help you to digest the foods in some of the cases. In return, what they do, they take a little bit of nutrient from your body. This little amount of nutrient does not even affect your body in any way. Now, but there are some parasitic organisms, like the parasite of malaria, like the parasite of maybe that one, Kalazar, or a mosquito, maybe a ringworm or a tapeworm. This kind of organisms, they will actually destroy your body. They will actually do harm to your body. They will in turn, they will also release the excreta. They will release the toxic excreta in your bloodstream, in your body system. That will make you very sick. Understood? So in most of the cases, this kind of a symbiotic relationship between this parasitic organism and the host is harmful for the host. That does not mean that in every single cases this is like this. Now, let me remove this thing. I'm showing you a few pictures of some of the most common known parasites here. Okay. The last but one of the most important topic, Holozoic nutrition. Holozoic nutrition, you know, it is also a type of heterotrophic nutrition. This is the type of nutrition in which the organism takes entire blocks of solid food and digestion happens inside the organism's body. Now, types of Holozoic nutrition also you have studied for a long time now. Holozoic nutrition are divided under 3 categories. You know these things: herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. What are herbivores? The organisms that feed on plants like goat, buffalo, deer, this kind of herbivorous organisms, cow, gomata. Okay. Now, second category is carnivores, like cat, lion, tiger. This kind of organisms only depends upon the other animals. They feed on flesh, right? You studied those things. And the last type is omnivores, like us, humans, dogs, bear, and those kind of organisms. Now, how are omnivores different from rest of the two? Omnivores depend upon both of the things. Omnivores can feed on both plants and animals. Got it? Now, these are the 3 types of Holozoic nutrition. Now, Holozoic nutrition, we know. We have a basic idea of how Holozoic nutrition actually works, because we do perform Holozoic nutrition. We humans perform Holozoic nutrition. Still, if you just separate the entire process, you know what happens. You eat a food, it digests in your body absorbs the nutrient, your body utilizes the nutrients, and the rest of the waste material are being excreted from your body, right? This is the entire process of Holozoic nutrition. Now, still, if you have to make the things more precise, Holozoic nutrition can be classified under this category. See, the first one is ingestion. On your screen, I have also shared this note with you. The first point would be ingestion. Now, ingestion is what? It is simply taking in of food. When you put the food in your mouth, when you bite on your favorite dish, maybe a piece of pizza or whatever, a piece of bread or a biscuit or whatever thing that you are eating. Okay, this is ingestion, the taking in of the food material. The second part, what happens when you are taking the food in your mouth, you start to chew that up. Now from here onwards, digestion process starts. This is the second point. You can see after ingestion, the second point is digestion. As soon as you start to chew the food, that is, you are breaking the solid heavy food particle into tiny bits of pieces and mixing it with your saliva. That is when the digestion process has already started. Your body is digesting the food now. Your body is breaking the solid piece of food into simpler forms. This food will go down your throat, it will go to your stomach, the stomach will continue to digest it further, and after that it will pass on to your small intestine. Now in the small intestine, the digestion will continue. After the digestion is being done, remember this thing, the entire process of digestion happens within the small intestine. When the digestion process is done, we go to the third point, absorption. What is that? When the digestion is done, the food particles, the complex organic food particles are broken down into simpler nutrients, right? Now the simpler nutrients are being absorbed within your body because your body is very complex, right? Your body will absorb the entire nutrient system. These nutrients will go into different parts of your body, all of your organs, your brain, your heart, your lungs, your hands, your feet, your muscles, your skin, everywhere. All the living cells that is there in your body will receive these nutrients and they will utilize these nutrients. Now the utilization comes into the next part, that is the assimilation. That is, these nutrients that you have absorbed and transported throughout your entire body system are being utilized now. The carbohydrates would be utilized to gain energy. The proteins would be utilized to repair the damaged tissues, damaged cells. Now the vitamins would be utilized to maintain the cellular structure, the protoplasmic structure of the cells, to maintain the tissue structures, to maintain all of the things in your body. Now like this, the minerals will also do the same thing like vitamins, right? There are various nutrients to maintain various types of things in your body. Your body would need a proper diet, that's why, right? Now when every single thing is done, respiration is over, energy is being released, all the things are done, our body will be left with only waste materials, the solid waste from the food that was digested, and also the waste materials of respiration, right? Now what were the waste materials of respiration? You remember it from class 7 and 8. What were the waste materials of respiration? Respiration's waste materials are carbon dioxide and, in more complex ways, urea, uric acid, those kind of things. Those things would be excreted. These are the waste materials in your body. Your body do not need them. Also, if you just accumulate those things in your body will get very sick. So your body have to have a process to excrete all of these things, to throw out all of this waste materials, right? This process is known as ingestion. Clear? This is the entire process of Holozoic nutrition in a gist. Now we will study special cases in Holozoic nutrition. That's why I said that Holozoic nutrition is one of the most important topics that we have to study today. This is one of the most vast one also, and very easy also. You will see because you can relate to this topic. Actually, what you have to do is just imagine yourself how you eat the food, what happens to the food that goes in your inside your body. Just imagine that. It will be much easier for you to understand that way. Now let me take an example of the amoeba. Now amoeba also performs Holozoic nutrition. It is an heterotrophic organism. It is a protozoa. It performs Holozoic nutrition. Let us take the example of amoeba. Now I will show you an animation here to make you understand it little bit more properly. See, now in class 9 also, if you remember, I drew a thing on the on your table actually with water, actually how the amoeba works, how the amoeba moves, how the pseudopodia actually extends, and how the amoeba travels from one region to another. If you remember that thing, that would be much easier for you to understand this thing. Now see, this is the structure of an amoeba. You know that amoebas do not have a proper shape of its body. It can actually change its shape. It can produce pseudopodia. Now if you remember what pseudopodia is, pseudopodia was the false legs, the false projections that amoeba makes from their body to gather the food, or maybe walk forward, to move forward. These are the small projections. Now see what is happening here. This amoeba is creating the pseudopodia. It is extending the pseudopodia, and this green region that you can see, this is the food particle. This pseudopodia has taken the food particle in, and this food particle is now getting inside the body. Now inside this amoeba cell body, you have seen how the pseudopodia take the food inside it, right? After that, the pseudopodia actually fuses with each other and creates the food vacuole, the light bluish colored structure that you can see, in which the green food material is present. That is the food vacuole. This food vacuole will contain this food. This is the process of ingestion. In case of amoeba, you can see the amoeba is also taking the solid piece of food inside it. So this is the process of ingestion. Now the red colored structures that you can see all around here, these are the lysosomes. Now one of these lysosomes will crash onto this food vacuole. This is not yet food vacuole actually. When the lysosome will crash onto this will convert this temporary vacuole into the food vacuole. This food vacuole will digest. The digestion will happen in this food vacuole. You remember from class 9's chapter 8 of biology, the first chapter of biology, that was the cell, the life, the fundamental units of life, right? That was the first chapter. That was cell, basically. You remember what lysosomes are. These are the bags. These are some specialized vacuole structures which contain some enzymes. They have the capacity to digest the food, right? So these were known as the digestive bags. Also these were known as the suicide bags. You remember why these were known as the suicide bags. I'm not going into that part now. Okay, now this lysosome will crash into this food vacuole here. It will release the enzyme, the digestive enzyme, into this food vacuole. This enzyme will digest the organic matter of this food, the greenish food substance that is there, that is present inside. Maybe it's a bacteria or any other organic substance. Okay, now after the digestion happens, after the digestion continues, and the digestion, after this digestion happens, the nutrients, you can see the yellow tiny circular spherical shapes that are see, I'm just showing you again. When the digestion is done, these nutrients will spread into the cytoplasm here, like this. See again. Wait. When now the digestion process is going on, digestion is done, nutrients are absorbed into the cell, in the cytoplasm. It will be utilized further. And now the waste materials, the undigested waste materials, would be released from the body. This is excretion. Now this was the process of nutrition in case of an amoeba. Now in your note I have given you, I have explained everything properly here. See, the steps of holozoic nutrition that takes place in amoeba are: number 1, ingestion. Amoeba captures the food with the help of the temporary finger-like projections called pseudopodia. Now in the video that you have seen, you have observed I guess you have observed it properly. If not, go back to that portion, see that again, how the finger-leg projections, that is the pseudopodia, engulfs the entire food particle and takes the food particle inside the body cavity. Now, after that, in that digestive material, in that food vacuole, the digestion happens, the digestion continues. Now, what is the process of digestion in this thing? Let's see. Intracellular digestion takes place in the cell body. Now, what is intracellular digestion? That is inside the cell digestion. Intracellular digestion is the digestion is happening inside the cell body of the organism. This is intracellular digestion. Okay, remember this thing. Now, here a lysosome fuses with a phagosome. Phagosome was the vacuole, that was the temporary vacuole that was created when the food was engulfed by the pseudopodia, of the amoeba. When you remember in the video, the pseudopodia of the amoeba engulfed the food, right? Engulfed the food particle, the greenish food particle. Now that created a vacuole-like structure, that the temporary vacuole-like structure, that was the phagosome. This is known as the phagosome. Now phagosome, now the lysosome, any of the lysosome that contains the enzyme will crash onto this phagosome to produce a food vacuole. Now the final product of this combination of this lysosome and the phagosome will create a food vacuole, also known as gastrule or temporary stomach. I have to rectify this thing. Okay, now see, after that, digestion of food occurs with the help of digestive enzymes brought by lysosomes. Now, right now I just explained, also from class 9 most of you do remember that thing, that the cell contains the lysosomes. These are the suicide bag and also known as the digestive bags of the cell, right? This specialized vacuoles contain enzymes. Enzymes are there which has the capacity to digest organic matter, including the cell itself when necessary. Now, that was the lysosome. It changes the complex insoluble substance of food into simpler absorbable substance. I guess you have understood this part. So after this digestion happens, absorption will happen. The food materials, the nutrients will be absorbed. The nutrients would be absorbed. Okay. Now, when the nutrients are absorbed, the nutrients should be utilized into the cell, right? Now you can see the absorption. After that, the assimilation point is there. Assimilation is the process where the nutrients that are being absorbed will be utilized in the cell body of the amoeba. Okay, and at last, the last point is the ingestion process. You can see in the diagram also, and you remember from the video also that I showed, the last point is the ingestion. How this happens? When all the digestion process is done, the waste, solid waste material that is left behind in the food vacuole will be released into the surrounding. How this happens? You can see the vacuole that is being left with the solid waste materials will go on, fuse with the cell membrane and break open. Just the opposite action of the pseudopodia, opposite action of the intake of the food, right? So this is how this entire holozoic nutrition happens in case of amoeba. Now the next topic is human. Now, how digestion happens in human beings? This is a very tough and a very interesting topic. That is why I have to make a separate video to explain the entire process of human digestion, human nutrition. Okay. Now, before I do that, I will explain the entire holozoic process that happens in case of human being, in case of us. Before I do that, let me show you a few things. Simple introduction to that part. You know how digestion happens in case of human, right? Now, First of all, let me remove the entire structure here. This is a human body. I'm just showing you a few introductory steps, how this thing actually works, how this digestion process, the life processes happens in a human body. I'm just removing the skin first. This is the entire structure of the skeletal muscle in a human male body structure. This time what we will be needing is the digestive tract only. So I'm just placing it properly where I can just concentrate on the digestive tract here. See, now I'm removing the muscles, skeleton, done, gone. Hormonal system, nervous system, reproductive system, excretory system, not excretory, we will be needing the excretory system, lymphatic system and cardiovascular system, respiratory system, all gone. What we are left with is the excretory system and the digestive system in here. You can see. This is the digestive system that we need to understand. Just observe how this thing is lined up inside your body. When I started to remove all of the important organ systems from here, from this diagram, from this animation, you saw how this thing was lined entirely entangled with all of the things that our body comprises of. See, this is the see, this is the entry point of the digestive tract. This is our mouth, right? Through this region, this the ingestion of food happens. We know these things, right? Let us elaborate the part again. Let's go into that part. See, this is the tongue. This thing is the tongue, that the muscular organ that we utilize to talk, we utilize to chew our foods properly in our mouth, right? I'm not showing you the skeletal system. That is why you are not seeing the teeth here. These are the salivary glands that produces the salivary amylase, the watery wet substance that you have in your mouth. Let me show you let me just turn this entire thing and show you how many of the salivary glands we have. By the side of all our ear, there are two big clusters of the salivary glands, and at the bottom of our chin, by the side of our chin, we have two more structures. See, one here, two here, another set of salivary gland here. See, in both of the sides. Underneath the tongue there are two structures, here also the same thing, and by the side of the ear we have another two structures. You can see these are connected by the ducts which actually releases the salivary amylase in your mouth. Now I will not go into details of the entire human digestive system today. I will do that in the next video that will follow. Now see, if I turn the entire system, if I just zoom this thing up and just show you here, this line, the pipe that we can see here, this is the food pipe, or also known as the oesophagus. The food from the mouth enters this oesophagus and runs down to the stomach, right? Runs down to the stomach. Now I think you cannot see the stomach from here properly. See, see, Now you can see the entire digestive system properly. I have stopped the rotation of this animation. It was very irritating. Now I'm removing the excretory system from here to make this entire diagram a little bit more clear. Now if I open the this thing, you can see for the liver you are not able to see the structure of the stomach properly. I'm removing the liver from here. See, this is the structure of the stomach. The oesophagus continues throughout this section, enters the stomach. Now the food from the oesophagus enters the stomach. From the stomach through the doldrum. I'm just removing the large intestine from here to show you that the doldrum, the stomach, is actually connected with the small intestine. Just see. Now this is how this entire section is connected. Let me turn this diagram. Let me turn this human being a little bit. From the back you can see it properly. Yeah, see, the stomach is connected with the small intestine like this. At the middle you have a yellow triangular shaped thing, right? That is the pancreas. I'm removing the pancreas for you to get a better look here. Now this is the inter-alimentary canal. This is known as the alimentary canal. I have removed all the necessary glands. I'm removing the entire necessary glands and everything. That structure that you can see right now is the alimentary canal of a human being. It contains the not the entire, now it is the entire alimentary canal of the human being. Now it contains the oesophagus, then the stomach. It continues to the small intestine, and after that the small intestine is connected to the colon, or also we know it as a large intestine. Understood? This is the entire digestive system, the digestive tract of a human being. Now how the process of this digestion happens, I will explain you in the next video. Till then, goodbye, and yes, go through all the notes that I have given you. You need to memorize all of those things properly, and of course I will be taking one test to see how much you have understood, how much you guys are following my class, right? So till then, goodbye, and for the rest of the things, the test and everything, I will update soon.